Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. It is Palestine, and I am sitting in a coffee shop run by a church in the town that I live in. And I'm making this video because I just wanted you to know that I have been to the job center in the town that I live in and have given them my employment documents for them to scan in and send to the DWP or the ESA, but I gave them the documents. And the reason why is because I did a search on Google, and Google said that if the benefits office has said that they haven't received the documents, then what you can do is you can take them to the job center, and the job center will scan them in. So basically, to give you an update on what has happened, I haven't had any benefits since December when they cut my benefits. And the reason why is because my employer paid me in arrears in November. And so instead of them asking me what happened and contacting me and asking me what happened, they just cut off my benefits. And they said that I had worked too many hours. Well, I didn't work too many hours. What had happened was I was paid for the work that I did in October, and I was paid for the work that I did in November in one pay statement. And if they had bothered to ask me, I would have explained that to them, but they just cut my benefits off. And so I've been trying to resolve this issue since December. And so basically, they refused to help me. They told me that I had worked too many hours because I phoned them up. And the first time I phoned them up, she just said, well, you worked too many hours, your case has been closed, or your claimant's been closed. Well, I didn't work too many hours. So then I asked her, I said, I haven't worked too many hours. And she put me on hold for an hour. So basically, she had no intention of helping me. She was just intending to keep me on hold for as long as I was willing to stay on the line. So I was on hold for an hour, and I rang back, and they were really rude, telling me that they had discontinued my claim because I had worked too many hours. And then they said they would send my claim to the back office. Well, whenever they sent my claim to the back office decided not to reinstate my claim. They decided to go ahead and close my claim, and they didn't even phone me to actually speak to me about it. And so I had to go to a charity and ask a charity for help. And then when the charity rang up and said I needed a mandatory review, and then what happened was they phoned me up and told me to send the documents to a free post address. And so when I sent the documents to the free post address, they said they would phone me back, but of course they never phoned me back. And then so I went back to the charity, and the charity phoned them, and they said that I just had to wait for a phone call. Well, I never got any phone call. It was all a ruse. It's all a scam. And then what happened was, so I waited till the end of the month, and I didn't receive a phone call. And so I got my pay statements, and I went back to this charity. The charity rang this benefits organization, and they just put the phone down on her. And because they put the phone down on her, she didn't want to phone them back. So she told me to contact my MP, that's a member of parliament. So I sent an email to the MP. It took 3 weeks for him to reply. And then he said I had to send him all of the information that I had sent to this benefits office. And then I had to give him written approval to contact the this benefits office on my behalf. And so basically I thought, well, I was really upset about some man yelling at me in the hospital anyway. So basically what I did was I rang this organization myself because even the charity had stopped helping me. And so the organization said that they had never received the documents. So if this charity had bothered to try to ring this organization again, they would have found out that they never received the documents. So it was well over a month before I found out that they hadn't received the documents. More than a month, more like 2 months. Well, definitely a month, and more like 2 months really. And then so basically they did a second mandatory review, and they told me to send the documents to another address. So the previous documents that I sent across were on a free post, and I asked work if I could send the documents via work because it was free post. It wasn't going to cost them any money, and I asked if I could do that. So I don't know what's happened. I don't know if somebody at work didn't like me and they decided to take it out and throw it away, or if somebody in the post office decided to take it out and throw it away, or if somebody at this benefits agency decided to take it out and throw it away. But they're saying they didn't receive it. So I sent it a second time. I sent it first class. It was £5 9p of money that I don't have. And then so basically I waited more than a week. I waited 8-9 days, and then I just decided I was by myself, and so I decided I would ring this benefits agency again. And again, a second time, they said they didn't receive the documents. Well, I sent the documents first class. I couldn't track the documents because Royal Mail will not track post that is sent first class. So I couldn't track the documents. I've got a receipt that says that I sent the documents, but because I couldn't track the documents, I can't prove that they were received because Royal Mail doesn't track first class mail. And then so I was really upset. They said that they were going to open up a second management request for me. Have I heard anything from that organization? No. And then so this morning I thought, well, before I photocopy these documents, what I will do is I will phone this benefits agency and ask if they received the documents. Well, they got me on the phone. I had to wait a really long time on hold to actually get somebody, and they said that since they asked me where I lived 20 years ago, and I was able to give them the address, but I couldn't remember the postcode of where I lived 20 years ago, and that's what they were doing, asking me where I lived 20 years ago. And they said that they asked me my bank sort code. Well, I can't remember my bank sort code, and I said, well, I haven't got it in front of me, but this is what I think it is. And they said, well, you failed the questions. I said, okay, well, let me go get my bank card and then I can give you the sort code. And they said, no. They said, since you failed the questions, we're gonna put you on to an advisor. So they put me onto an advisor. I had to wait a long time to get a hold of an advisor. And then she said, oh, well, there's something wrong with my computer. Let me just put you on hold for a few minutes. She put the phone down on me. So because she put the phone down on me, I had to go to work. I couldn't phone them again. I had to go to work. So I went to work, and then so I had to very surreptitiously photocopy these documents, which they were work documents anyway. They were my pay slips and my contracts of employment, and then cover letters. And then, so then I got off work because I have to do everything outside of work. And then I finished work, and it's permitted work, by the way. And then so I took the bus into town and met my boyfriend because I don't I don't feel comfortable going to appointments by myself. I would rather if my boyfriend is with me when I'm going to appointments. And then so they gave me, the job center is completely changed because they want to keep the people working at the job center completely separate from the service users. So now what they do is you go into the job center, you have somebody sitting at a desk with a computer, and you had about 4 security guards, so there was not going to be any funny business. If you tried to do something, there was going to be 4 security guards bounce on you. And so I just told them what happened. They asked me my national insurance number, and I gave them my national insurance number, and they gave me a card that had number 6 on it, and they said, well, go to the 2nd floor. So we went to the 2nd floor, and I went to see the lady, called my number, and I told her, I said, the ESA is saying that they have not received my documents twice now. I said, I don't believe that they haven't received my documents. And she said, well, I can't comment on that because I'm not the ESA. And then I said, well, I need to have them scanned in. So, and then I said, now, these pieces of paper, there's double-sided. It has to be scanned in double-sided. And I asked, could I have a receipt? And she said, no, we don't give receipts. If you want the documents back, then I'll have to scan it in and give it to you. And I said, no, I don't need the documents back. I said, I photocopied them at work, and these are the documents. So basically, they kept the documents that I photocopied. So this is the 3rd time that I've had to photocopy documents. This will be the 2nd time they said that they haven't received the documents. And then I asked the lady, I said, do you know who to send it to? So I'm just assuming that they're going to scan it in under my national insurance number. I'm not sure. But, so she wouldn't give me a receipt. So I have no proof. I have no proof that I've been to the job center, that I've given the job center my documents, and the documents have scanned them in because they refused to give me a receipt. They just said, we don't give receipts. And they said, we can scan it in and give you the documents back. And I said, no, I don't need the documents. You know, I can, really. But anyway, so this is just a scam. This is a scam, The UK government is saying that they don't want to give people benefits. And so what they're doing is they're cutting people's benefits off. When you ring up to say my benefits have been cut off, they're very rude and unhelpful. And then you have to go to a charity and get a charity to help you. And then you have to request a management review. And then they'll phone you up and say, send the documents to this address. And of course, they're never, even if they receive the documents, they're just going to say that they haven't received them. And then, and then you ask for another management review because they send the request over to a manager, and somebody else will phone you, and they'll say, oh, we'll send these documents to another request, another address. And then so you send the documents to the other address, first class, and then they say, oh no, we haven't received those documents either. So basically, they're just fobbing people off. The reason they're not paying people's benefits that they are entitled to, because the UK government says that I am mentally ill. And that is why I was getting the benefits, because the UK government says that I'm mentally ill, and they say that I'll have to take these drugs because they tell me that I am mentally ill. And then it's just a scam. It's just a scam. That's why the government doesn't want to pay benefits. And so they're really rude. They cut off your benefits. They're rude. They're unhelpful. When you send the documents across, they say that they haven't received them, and then they close your case. So I went to the job center today for them to scan my documents in. They refused to give me a receipt. So I have no evidence to say that I actually went to the job center, gave them my documents to scan in. The only thing that I could have done was film myself going into the job center, but I know that's not going to fly. I know they wouldn't let me film myself going into the job center. So I don't know what's going to happen. I guess I'll wait a week, and then in a week's time I'll ring up again and see if they receive my documents. This is horrendous because I haven't had any benefits for 4 months, and now I'm living on my savings. If I didn't have any savings, I would probably be homeless now. So that's why I wanted to make this video. One, to let you know what's going on with my financial problems. Two, let you know what the UK government is doing to make people homeless and destitute. And three, I don't know, maybe somebody will see this video and do something about what the UK government is doing to take benefits away from them and make them homeless. So thank you very much for watching my video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.